2 weeks, no, not 2 weeks, in a week, I've been outside. Birds are singing outside and everything. It's a lovely spring. The weather has been gorgeous here in the west of Ireland, and I think that's probably what's staving off a lot of people's depression, is the fact that the weather has been so amazing. I think if we had our normal horrible Aprils with the endless wind and rain, I think you'd find a very different situation. Having that, not to bring this down, but there are unspeakable horrors that have yet to be uncovered at the moment, which are behind closed doors. There's still lots of people who've committed suicide, and maybe even whole families, that we haven't discovered yet because everyone's locked down and social isolating. It will happen. It's gonna happen, and there's nothing we can do about it. And I'd be more worried there's more damage being done by the social isolation, and also the economic future will start to hit the normies now. That is there a job for me when I go back? Now, there's also another side to this that hasn't been spoken about. For years, I've worked with people and known people who wanted to work at home. Now, many of them that's being forced upon them or being given to them by their jobs. They're discovering that the whole work at home thing is horrible. It doesn't work. The working from home thing was invented by corporations, so you would pay their utilities instead of them renting an office and heating it, and etc. and so on. Working at home means that your home is effectively the office you're renting on their behalf, and you're paying your heating in winter and your air conditioning in summer, so they don't have to. And it's one of the biggest scams ever, and I've known so many people over the years, oh, I can't wait to work from home. Well, you're discovering now that that's not good for many of you. Maybe some of you might like it. It depends on the situation. If you've got kids and stuff, it might find it very difficult. If you, doesn't even matter. Some like it, most don't. Most, it doesn't work for them. Especially if they worked in an office and I've worked in offices where everyone was really fun, and my friends, and they'll find that very difficult. I know this office is full of assholes too as well, but what happens is when you work at home and you think, oh great, I'm working at home now, I don't have to commute and everything anymore, you'll get phone calls at 8 p.m. on a Sunday evening saying, there's a report that needs to be done for the morning, can you do it? This is what happens when you work at home. You also miss out on promotions as well, because you're a persona non grata as far as the office is concerned. Now that will lead to massive in some cases massive social problems and depression, and also it'll be hitting some of them now. And like I said, there are unspeakable horrors behind closed doors caused by the economic catastrophe and the social catastrophe that'll be much worse and much more long term than the coronavirus itself. But this is what they wanted. I felt absolutely awful yesterday. I did 2 hours on Freeman show last night. We had a great chat. Freeman Fly, that should be up this weekend. And I barely got through it in the second hour. I was exhausted, and then a terrible sense of lethargy, and just my joints were hurting, my legs. I go to bed at 10 o'clock, literally feeling like I was going to fall into a coma. And then I wake up at 3 a.m. Bing! Completely alert and everything. And I'm okay now, fine. And it's like, I talked to people on my Facebook wall, I mentioned this, and they were all like, yeah, exactly the same. The body cycles are all weird and all off. Now, I don't know what that's from or what's causing it, but see, this is one of the reasons I keep my one foot in the matrix. I work a weekend job just because I want that routine. I want something to keep. I don't need to do it really. I could probably manage without it, but maybe I wouldn't. That's the way around. I wouldn't manage to. I couldn't manage on this alone. No way. I don't know what I was thinking then. No, I do need that job for lots of reasons, not just the money, but also the routine and the socialising and hanging out with people and stuff like that. I enjoy that part a lot. But I want to thank everyone on my Facebook page, and you've been like a rock for me, and the comments here. It's like we are a refuge from the storm of madness around us. And I find that like the banter and the laughs and the jokes and the memes are tremendous for keeping us all, focused away from the doom and stuff like that. Now, another thing that happened this week was they've flown Romanian fruit pickers to England and Bulgarian fruit pickers here to Ireland in order to pick fruit because this is the fruit pickings. Strawberries and raspberries, I think, and some other fruits are picked at this time in this part of the world. And so there's murder over it in some quarters. I don't know why. They were but I was delighted to see it, and I'll tell you why. I won't. I'm not talking about the British case. I'm talking about the Irish one. These plane loads of Bulgarians being brought in. First of all, picking fruit is the shittiest job in the world. If you've ever done it, you know why people don't want to do it. The reason why people from Bulgaria, they're mostly young kids and students, come over to Ireland and to pick fruit is because the pay in Ireland is something like 8 times what it is in Bulgaria. You For 1 week's work in Ireland, you'll make 8 times what you make in Bulgaria. So it's a chance for young people to make some quick, ready cash. But it is hard work. I remember when I was a teenager picking. I went on holiday in Italy, and somewhere I was down around Bari or somewhere like that. And I got like a job on a farm picking grapes and olives, and I can tell you, olives wasn't so bad because you kind of just shake, but you had to carry big sacks of them. But the picking the grapes was the worst job I ever did in my life. And I was young and fit and in the prime of my life as a healthy teenager. And so these people are like, you have like the ones, the kind of the patriots who are saying things like, oh, they're bringing in foreigners when Irish people don't have jobs. You wouldn't do that fucking job to start with, you asshole. Secondly, uh, it gives me hope. It was wonderful to see Dublin Airport full of people again, getting off planes and coming through the arrivals areas of the terminals. It's hope for the future. It's also showing up that the travel ban is stupid. It doesn't work. It's time to end it. So I'm absolutely delighted to see those folks, those young people from Bulgaria coming over, not only so I can continue to eat fruit, but also because they're heroic. They're going back to work and they're showing us the possibility of the future. The only ones I've seen whining about are the kind of whingy whiner ones, like these foreigners, the ones that kind of follow Tommy Robinson types, and. No, and then others say, oh, they're break-ins, all the social. Fuck that. We all know it's bollocks now, and they're proving it. They're actually, the normies will see that and go, how come, we'll turn around and say, the airports are fine, they should let us use them again. So it puts pressure on all these governments to do it back. Now, we're all looking at around, now Trump has said Beltane May 1st will be the day that America goes back to work or something like that, but he's going to leave it up to the individual states themselves to decide if they want to go back or not. Now, this is a clever move. He's a clever bastard in so many ways. The states that will say no will have people leaving them to go to the ones that say yes, that are working. It's a genius idea because all the Democrat-controlled states will say, we're not going back to work. Trump's literally Hitler trying to kill us with COVID-18. And all the Republican-controlled states are the ones that are pro-Trump states will say, okay, let's go back to work. And they will literally have their tax incomes flying up right immediately, right off the bat. And people who are in the states going, no, we're not going back to work. Bad, bad, orange man, bad. They will suffer badly. And it's another genius move by him, of many genius moves. And this is the same reason why they said at first he should have it should be a lockdown. He didn't. He hesitated on a lockdown, then he implemented a full lockdown. When he did that, they complained. But he's also put the full lockdown in too, because when anyone says the economy has flopped, you can turn around and say, but the Democrats demanded this be done for a lockdown. He's a genius. I know you think he's a buffoon, but it's like, it's jestercraft. Some of you will wake up one day and realize this. It's the art of war. Any kind of philosophical books of war. You don't brandish your power to the enemy. What you do is you hide your power, and you do things like if you pretend you have a weaker force than you actually do, or you pretend you're defeated. That's what I always do in smear campaigns. Whatever animal is running a smear campaign against me, I'll hide for a bit, pretend I'm defeated, act like I'm defeated, feed that to them. That way I can really show what kind of people they are, if they're vicious animals who keep it going, or if they're just satisfied with what they got. And it's a great way of finding out borderlines and psychopaths and things like that. And so from decent people. So you just pretend you're doomed for a bit, and you're a fool, or you've been defeated or humiliated, and then you just go back to your normal life as it was, and you basically harvest the energy out of these things, because they've nowhere left to go. So that it's the same thing with an army. You pretend you haven't got a big army. They send in an army to attack you, and you destroy them because you had a much bigger force, or much better weaponized or trained force than they thought. Trump uses that all the time. And this is all these fools that go, he's an idiot, he's a moron. It's just like, you're the idiot, you're the moron, you're being played like you would not believe. He's playing with you. You're like a fish on a line that thinks that when the line is let loose and the fish makes a run for it, thinks it's free, and then he goes, reels it back in again. That's what that's like. The art of war and the art of the deal is the same thing, but they'll never understand that, because the same mainstream media has them all believing they're going to drop dead of plague, has them all believing that as well. And one thing we've learned is who the idiots are, who are the idiots around us, and who the monsters are around us. Like I said, snitch on one thing, snitch on everything. These people are banished now from the rest of your life forever. And people who make you feel happy and interested and, contented during all this are the ones you spend the rest of your life with, or the rest of your time with, and the kind of people you focus finding for the rest of your life, and not the misery guts who had you like tormented and full of fear and dread. And like I said, you're learning about things. You will look back at this period as being the greatest education you ever had in your life. You could have went to all the best universities in the world, and you would not have learned what you learn now from just observation. There's a beautiful thing in observation, and I'm starting to see a lot of people starting to, like, I hope if you're a creative type, you're creating, and I don't mean just art and music. It's not like people have creative thinkers in terms of business and stuff. Now, they have wrecked the economy, but while the normies are going, well, you said we were going to go back to normal. You don't indulge in that. You do not indulge in that. They're going to be hit with. They're going to be like the Vietnam veterans when this is over. They didn't tell us we were going to be killing kids. I'm not putting down Vietnam veterans or any service person, but these were naive young men who went off to fight in Vietnam and came back shocked at what they have to done. We are the same way. There's the ones who've gone through this experience terrified and totally depending on their government and the media to save them, and they're going to go in. They're going to be like the Vietnam vets when this is all over, and they're going, where's my economy? Where's my job? Where's my job? Where's my economy? What happened to my job? Those of us who know this is coming, we do not fall into that mindset. We immediately get back to work. If we have a job, great, thankful. We just get back in there and be the best employee we possibly can be, because this is a chance for us to shine. If you're losing your job, hopefully you'll get some kind of dole, job seekers allowance or something like that will pull you through it, retrain. Better still, look to start a small business of your own. And this is the most important one of all, right? If you don't want to listen to anything else I say, right? If you are really sincere about building a better world, it's so simple. You don't sit there meditating, waiting for your arse chakra to shoot out your hole and change the world and defeat the Illuminati. My friend Kai Bowman, I'll put the link down below to his video, summed it up beautifully. Spend your money at small local businesses. Stop driving across town to get petrol for 2 pennies less a litre when the local family-owned garage sells a little more expensive. Yes, local family businesses tend to be, not always, tend to be more expensive than the big superstores. Give the small family businesses your business. Don't go to big corporate pub and restaurant chains. Go to the small local family business pub or restaurant. Go to the small, don't go to Starbucks anymore. Go to the small cafe that's run by a couple of Polish girls in your neighborhood, whatever. Don't go to anything, don't go to corporate gyms when you want to get back. Go to small local gyms run by some local guy or woman. Do not be spending any more money if you can help it. For instance, I'm buying stuff now off eBay from individuals. I'm not buying another thing ever again off Amazon or anyone like that. I don't want it. I don't want it. I'll hold out on eBay and I'll buy it from some lad or some girl or some man or woman around Ireland, Britain, and Ireland, and Europe, and wherever I have to get it from. I'd want them to have the money. And this is the path back. The path back is not listening to politicians talking about we're going to stimulate the economy by doing this, that, and the other. The path back is to stimulate the economy by ordinary people like us taking care of local businesses. Now, I'm going to say something a bit more controversial here, but it has to be done. And I'm not a revolutionary or vindictive type. But if you are a landlord and you are renting apartments out, make sure to charge extra for anyone who works for the government. Or better still, don't rent your apartment out to anyone. So, for instance, if some guy works in a shop, or some guy works in in a small, in a factory or something, private sector, whatever. He comes to rent your apartment. Ask him, what do you do? He says, I'm a bricklayer. Okay, your rent is going to be €1,000 a month. If somebody comes in who's a bureaucrat, a civil servant from a government job, who are all going to be safe and all protected, they come in and they say, I'd like to rent the apartment. What do you do? I work in the department of, health. I'm a civil servant. I've been there for 18 years. Okay, your rent is €2,000 a month. This is the way. This is how we fight back. They use non-linear war. I'm sorry, civil servants and government workers, if you're listening to this, but your jobs are safe. Your job, firemen, your jobs are safe, and you've made a lot of money from this. I'm here for the average guy, and you're not one of them. Now, I'm not putting down people in the public sector who work hard or anything like that, but you have a job for life with a pension. And that's, if you want to fight non-linear warfare back against non-linear warfare, you give the little guy a break, the independent man and woman a break. And the days of oh, I better rent my apartment or house out to civil servants because they'll always have an income coming in because they got a job for life. Sorry, the revolution or the insurgency begins here. The private sector worker is the slave of this world more than ever, and they're going to make people in the private sector have lower wages because there'll be less jobs after this, fight like dogs to keep them, and then these employers will abuse them because they know, the usual thing, it's bad out there. Maybe you got to work Sunday for free. So from now on, we protect the ordinary private sector worker. And if they want to build an Orwellian class that push the government worker and the private and the public sector worker up to the top of the pyramid, well, I've got news for you. They're not going to get the same privileges that they used to get. Their world, they're going to pay for that privilege on the street. And I would do that to everybody. I would do that. I'm not saying treat them like shit or anything like that. I'm just saying, look, it's a simple economic thing. You're a government worker. You thrive during COVID-19 while they wreck the rest of our economy. You're going to have to spend an extra dividend to take care of the people who don't have a job for life or a government pension. Government worker, sorry, but your gravy train comes with a price in regular society. And the same reason why some guy who works in a store or a small family business, to them, take care of them and give them a break, or a woman too. That's the way we do it now. You often hear about it. We take the bottom of the pyramid away. You can't do that militarily, you can't do that politically, but you can do it economically. And how you do it economically is you look after the little guy. And if you have to spend 25 cents extra for a local loaf of bread at a privately owned corner store or petrol station or convenience store, get it. Fuck Circle K's, fuck Walmart, fuck Kmart, fuck Amazon, fuck them all. Go for the little local guy now. And if they're not a little local guy, maybe they make sure they're a company that operates in your country and not some global corporation. It's really that easy. It's really that simple. We are we as the private sector workers, the independent people who work on our own, our job from now on is to look after one another, and that does not include people who work in the government and private and public sector. Take care.